You know, there are mornings when I look out the window and ask myself, how far have I really come? I used to think happiness was a destination until I realized it's simply the way we walk each day. At 60, I've come to understand that what truly matters isn't how much you have, but who you're becoming. And today, I want to sit down with you for a moment to talk about something we often forget in the rush of life: how to slow down, think differently, and love ourselves a little more each day. If you've ever felt lost, tired, or just want to find meaning again in your life, then this video is for you. Let me ask you something. If tomorrow you were given 10 more years of life, not to live again, but to live better, how would you spend those 10 years? That's the question I often ask myself. And it's also the question I want you to think about today. I'm 60 years old now. I'm no longer at the age where I need to prove myself. I'm at the age where I want to share what I've learned, the mistakes, the losses, and the lessons I wish someone had told me earlier. There was a time in my life people would have called successful. I had a stable job, a nice home, a car, and a savings account. From the outside, it looked like I had everything, but deep down, I didn't feel free. I woke up each morning tired, like I was running in circles that never stopped. I worked to pay the bills, and then I worked again to keep the things I bought with last month's paycheck. I was always busy, but I wasn't moving forward. One afternoon, I sat alone in a small coffee shop on the outskirts of Boston, and I asked myself, I've worked hard all my life, but have I really lived? That question silenced me. And in that silence, I realized something powerful. The problem wasn't my age or my opportunities. It was my mindset. The way we see the world, the way we see ourselves, time and money, that's what shapes the life we live today. You see, there's a tiny difference that creates a huge gap between people who merely survive and people who truly live freely. The first group says, I work to survive. The second group says, I work to create value, and that value sustains me. Just one shift in thinking, and your entire life can change. I remember a friend once asked me, why is it that after 30 years of working, we still feel like we're renting time from our own lives? That question hurt because it was true. And I knew that if I didn't change the way I thought 10 years later, I'd still be in the same place, only older, more tired, and full of regret. So I began a new journey, not a journey to earn more money, but a journey to learn how to live again. I started reading more, listening more, and slowing down enough to observe people who were truly happy and free. What I discovered shocked me. The people who were genuinely wealthy and peaceful, they weren't smarter or luckier than me. They just thought differently. Poor people say I can't. Rich people ask, how can I? Poor people are afraid to waste time. Rich people understand that time is their greatest investment. Poor people avoid problems. Rich people see problems as lessons, as opportunities to grow stronger. So I started to change, slowly, step by step. I learned to say no to things that didn't matter. I learned to spend more time on what truly does: my health, my family, learning, and the moments that give life meaning. I learned to accept my mistakes without punishing myself for them. And most importantly, I learned to think long-term. When we're young, we want everything fast, quick. Success, instant recognition, immediate reward. But once you reach your 50s or 60s, you realize life isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. The ones who last aren't the fastest. They're the ones who know how to pace themselves, to see farther, to save their energy for what truly matters. One of the most powerful things I've ever heard was this: most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10. That one sentence changed the way I live. Instead of asking, when will I make money, I began to ask, what am I building that will make life better for me and for others in the next 10 years? And when the question changed, my actions changed. I stopped chasing quick wins. I started building strong foundations. I focused on growing real skills, creating real value, and nurturing genuine relationships. And strangely enough, when I stopped chasing money, money began to find me. If you're watching this video, chances are you've already lived through a lot. You've known loss. You've known what it means to start over. You've carried responsibility, perhaps for decades. You don't need anyone to teach you how to work hard. You've been doing that your whole life. What you may need now is a new perspective on how to live. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. I want you to spend the next few minutes with me as we walk through 6 powerful shifts in mindset, small shifts that can completely change how you see your life. These aren't theories or textbook ideas. They come from real experiences, decades of working, failing, learning, and growing. From me, from my students, and from thousands of people I've had the privilege to work with over the years. Think of this as a quiet conversation between two friends, two generations, two souls, trying to rediscover freedom and meaning in a noisy world. Because I deeply believe one simple truth: you can't change your past, but you can change your future simply by changing the way you think today. And when you change your mindset, you don't just become richer, you become a better version of yourself. So, if you're ready, let's begin this journey together. A journey through 6 mindset shifts that can help you not only have more money, but also more time, more peace, and more freedom in the years ahead. 1. Think long term. Learn to plant seeds, not just harvest fruits. I remember when I was young, I was always impatient. I wanted everything fast: promotions, money in the bank, my first house. But as I grew older, I realized that the things truly worth having never come quickly. A close friend of mine, Michael, was once an engineer in the tech industry. He worked hard, earned good money, but he was always exhausted. One day, Michael told me, "I'm afraid to take a week off because I'm scared someone will replace me." I asked, "So what if 10 years from now you're still afraid of that?" He fell silent. We live in a world that convinces us speed equals success. But I've learned one thing: real wealth doesn't come from speed, it comes from direction. A seed takes time to root, to grow, to bloom, and so do people. When you take time to build a strong foundation, your skills, relationships, and habits, you're planting for a future harvest. Many people in their 50s or 60s say it's too late. But I tell them, it's never too late, you just have to think beyond today. If you're 55 and decide to learn a new skill, by the time you're 60, you'll have 5 years of experience, more than most people who never started. Remember, the tallest oak tree in the forest was once just a tiny acorn, but someone had to plant it. 2. Learn to invest time, not just spend it. At 30, I thought money was the most valuable asset. But now I know for certain time is the real currency of life. You can lose money and earn it back. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. For decades, I stayed busy: meetings, extra work, overtime. I thought that meant productivity. But one day, my daughter said, "Dad, you're always working, but you never seem to be here." Her words pierced my heart. That's when I realized I had been spending time not investing it. When you invest, you think long-term returns. So ask yourself, where are you investing your hours? Are you using them on things that will yield value in 5 or 10 years, or just reacting to what's urgent today? The wealthy understand this law. They use money to buy back time. They hire others to do what they don't need to so they can focus on what matters most. Meanwhile, most people do the opposite. They sell their time for money, then use that money to buy things that waste even more time. I'm not saying everyone can just stop working, but you can choose where to invest your time. How many hours a week do you spend learning, being with loved ones, reflecting on what truly matters? That's the smartest investment I know. 3. Never stop learning, no matter how old you are. When I turned 50, I thought I knew enough. But that's exactly when the world started changing faster than ever. New technology, new work systems, new ways of thinking. I once had a student named Linda, a 62-year-old former teacher. After retiring, she decided to learn video editing and started a small YouTube channel sharing life lessons. When I asked why, she smiled and said, "I don't want to just watch the world change, I want to grow with it." Now her channel has tens of thousands of followers, most of them her peers. They don't come to hear a guru, they come to listen to a real person learning and living with authenticity. You see, you're never too old to learn something new. Science shows that the human brain can still form new neural connections even at 70 years old. That means as long as you want to, you can still grow, still improve, still evolve. Someone once said, "Age doesn't make you old, stopping learning does." If you spend just 30 minutes a day reading, learning a new skill, or challenging your mind within a year, you'll be a completely different person. And that difference, that spark of curiosity, is youth itself, no matter your age. 4. Reframe problems. Every challenge is a gift in disguise. Years ago, when I lost the job I'd had for 2 decades, I felt crushed. I remember the emptiness, the confusion, as if everything I had built just vanished overnight. But later I realized sometimes loss isn't the end, it's the beginning. If I hadn't lost that job, I might never have entered the field of personal development. If I hadn't gone through that crisis, I would never have understood the fear and loneliness so many middle-aged people face every day. You know the universe has a strange way of teaching us. It doesn't send us gifts in shiny boxes. It sends them wrapped in challenges. The weak see obstacles. The strong see lessons. The wise see opportunities. Think back on your own life. How many times did something that seemed terrible at first turn out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? Sometimes losing someone teaches us how to love deeper. Losing a job pushes us toward our true calling. Failing once teaches us the value of persistence. Struggles are a natural part of growth. The goal isn't to avoid them, it's to rise through them. 5. Master your emotions before you master your finances. In my early years as a life coach, I discovered something fascinating. 99% of financial problems are actually emotional problems. We shop because we're lonely, we spend because we feel pressured, we procrastinate because we fear failure, and sometimes we work endlessly just to prove something to others. But none of that brings peace. I once coached a man named James, 58 years old, a retired executive. He told me I have money, but I still feel like it's not enough. As we talked, I realized what he lacked wasn't wealth, it was inner peace. He had mastered earning money, but never learned to understand his own emotions, fear, anxiety, and expectation. Mastering emotions doesn't mean you never feel sad, scared, or angry. It means you don't let those emotions steer your life. You still feel them, but you observe them, understand them, and choose your response. When your mind is calm, you make wiser choices in business, in relationships, in money. A chaotic mind can ruin even the best plan, but a peaceful mind, even in a storm, can see the path forward. If there's one skill I wish I had learned earlier, it's emotional mastery. It's the foundation of all true success. 6. Work for value, not just for money. I've met many people with money, but very few who are truly wealthy. Because real wealth isn't about the number in your bank account, it's about the positive impact you bring to others. One of the people I admire most is John, a 65-year-old mechanic in California. His shop is small, but he treats every customer with genuine care. He once told me, "I don't fix cars. I help people feel safe driving home." That's the mindset of someone who creates value. When you focus on value, money follows naturally. But when you focus only on money, you'll always have to chase it. It may sound philosophical, but it's true. Value is the only currency that never loses worth. Others can take away your job, your opportunity, but they can't take away your value. So ask yourself, does what I do today make someone's life better? If the answer is yes, even if you don't see the result yet, you're on the right path. It took me years to realize life isn't a race, it's a journey of learning. And on that journey, your mindset is your most loyal companion. If you change the way you think, you change the way you live. And when you change the way you live, you change your future. Today, you might be 50 or 60, and maybe you feel it's too late to start over. But from one traveler to another, let me tell you this. It's never too late to live a different life as long as you dare to change the way you think today. So think longer, invest wiser, keep learning. Welcome challenges as your teachers, master your emotions, and live to create value. When you do, money will come, opportunities will come, and more importantly, peace will come. Thank you for being here today. If you found these reflections meaningful, leave a comment. Share a mindset shift that changed your life. Who knows, your story might just inspire someone out there to begin their own journey. You know, when I was young, I used to think success meant having a beautiful house, a nice car, and a big bank account. But the longer I've lived, the more I've realized true success is when you feel peace within your own soul. Have you ever felt that way? Those quiet mornings when you wake up, look out the window and ask yourself, how far have I really come? And what in all these years has truly made me happy? I ask you this, not to make you regret, but to help you awaken. Because most of us go through life without ever stopping to think, are we really living or are we just existing? I once met a 72-year-old man at a seminar in Texas. He told me, it took me 40 years to realize I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. I just needed to live in a way that felt meaningful to me. And he smiled the kind of smile that comes from someone who has finally set down a heavy burden. That moment changed me. It made me decide to dedicate the rest of my life to sharing these lessons with as many people as I can. Because I truly believe if each of us changes just a little in the way we think, the world will change a lot in the way we treat each other. Now, I want you to imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror looking at yourself. Not at the silver in your hair, not at the wrinkles around your eyes, but into the look in your eyes, that reflection of your whole journey. And I want you to ask yourself, if today were the first day of the rest of my life, what would I do differently? Maybe you'd call a loved one you've lost touch with. Maybe you'd finally start writing that book you've always dreamed of. Or maybe you'd simply smile more, love yourself more, instead of blaming yourself for what you haven't done yet. That right there is where mindset transformation begins, not from grand gestures, but from small choices we make every single day. In over 35 years of working with thousands of people of all ages, I've seen something extraordinary. When people change the way they think, their entire lives change in ways they never imagined. A woman once devastated after losing her job became a best-selling author simply because she started writing every day. A man once afraid of aging became a source of inspiration just because he found the courage to share his story. I tell you these things not to sell hope, but to remind you of this truth. You still have time. Whether you're 40, 50, or 70, you still have time to change. All you need is a little faith. Faith that your life isn't over. It's just turning a new page. Now I want you to do something simple. After you finish this video, sit quietly for just 5 minutes. Place your hand over your heart, take a deep breath, and ask yourself 3 questions. What do I truly want for the rest of my life? What am I investing my time in right now? Am I living in alignment with the values I cherish most? You don't need to write them down. You don't need to tell anyone. Just be honest with yourself. Because every great change begins with one honest moment. And if what I've shared with you today resonates in your heart, I invite you not just to subscribe for the sake of a button, but to join a journey with me. This channel isn't a place where you only listen to me talk. It's a space where we share, where people who have lived half a lifetime stumbled, stood back up, and still want to learn something new about themselves can connect. I want to turn this small corner of the internet into a spiritual home. A place where we learn to think differently, live slower, love ourselves more deeply, and never stop growing. Why do I do this? Because I believe the world today needs more people with wisdom and compassion. You, the one watching this video, are part of a generation that knows real value doesn't come from what's flashy, but from the quiet, kind choices we make each day. You know, I once read a Harvard study on happiness and longevity. The results were surprising. It's not wealth or status that keeps us healthy and happy. It's meaningful relationships and a positive mindset. And I've found that to be true word for word. When you learn to value time, when you see problems as opportunities, when you live by your values, you don't just grow richer materially, you grow richer spiritually. I know life can feel heavy sometimes. Work, family, responsibility, they pile up and we forget what really matters. We only get one chance to live. I've met many people who said, I wish I had started earlier. But do you know what I tell them? It doesn't matter when you start. What matters is that you start now. Because every day you wake up, breathing is another chance to rewrite the rest of your life. Let me close this video with a simple thought. Money can buy many things, but it can't buy the feeling of living true to yourself. Let every morning be one where you can look in the mirror and say, I am living a meaningful life. I am becoming a better version of myself. If just one sentence in this video made you pause and reflect, then for me, that's already a success. And if you'd like to continue this journey with me, hit subscribe, not for the algorithm, but so we can keep walking this path together. Each week, I'll share stories, lessons, and reflections from life things I've learned over 60 years and am still learning every day. Because I'm just like you, I'm not perfect. I'm simply searching for a more meaningful life one day at a time. Before you leave this video, I want you to remember one final truth. You can't control your age, but you can control your mindset. And when you master your mindset, you master your future. Thank you for sharing your precious time with me today. If this message touched your heart, share it with a friend, someone who might need to hear it right now. Because sometimes a single conversation can change an entire life. See you in the next video. Keep your mind calm, your heart grateful, and never forget, there are still so many beautiful things ahead of you.